Hi everyone. Two microphones worth. Maybe I'll move, maybe not. I have used OneNote instead of cue cards, so this is a technological gamble. It could go wrong, we could be anywhere, so bear with me. I've also been threatening to Sally for a while that I'd come today dressed as a bee, and I think she's only just realised that actually I wasn't going to do that. I know I've also used the word journey, which I really hate because it reminds me of X Factor. It's a bit like the word moist, which is never a good word. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the customer service journey, and the key part of our title really is started. So we're at the early stages, and this isn't about how we're flying bees and excelling in everything we do, but it's about how we're taking steps to kickstart the great work at the university, and great work that's already been done before certainly Sally and I started, but continuing to build our great service culture at Leeds Beckett. So, yay! Once upon a time, I worked in online advertising at Microsoft, and my last job before I left was managing what would now be called a service desk, I guess. At the time it wasn't, but it was all about email and phone support, and that really cemented my love of customer service. I also worked in call coaching as part of that role, and it, again, really cemented why I love customer service, why I love the whole industry around customer service. So from there, I worked at Liverpool John Moores University, and then missing the South and loving higher education, I went to work with the University of Oxford. Whoop! They're in the room. And then last September, I moved to Leeds, which is where we are now. And I am the Help Services Manager at Leeds Beckett University. So I'm talking about change. Change is always a big deal. The impact on people, the impact on processes can't be understated. And I'd come to Leeds Beckett fresh from a change, prepared for another change. During my time at Oxford, I say heavily involved in the rollout of Oracle Financials R12 to the university, which was a big change and an interesting change at that. So, as it says on the slides, I joined Leeds Beckett last year. I'm relatively new to the organisation. We've just been through a process this week where people were being asked about how long they've been at the university. It seems you've either been there 20 years or since August. So I am one of the August people. And as I said, I'm a help services manager, service desk manager for any other words, and I'm responsible for a team of 13, which is made up of 3 senior help service analysts, they're watching, 9 help service analysts, they're also watching, and 1 student placement, who I don't think is watching, but if you are, hey. I am passionate, and we hear it over and over again, and it's easy to gush about these things, but I am really passionate about customer experience. So that's a bit about me. I'm also talking really fast, so just tell me to slow down if you need me to. So I like to quote Julie Andrews. I get it into nearly every interview. If I don't mention that, I mention the fact my mum was Cheese Person of the Year, 2003. Pretty cool fact. And so let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. So we had a big restructure last summer in IT services at Leeds Beckett University, and a massive investment was made, not only financially in the service desk, but also in terms of the culture around the service desk, placing the service desk at the heart of things. And so it's great to write that down on paper, but what I'm talking about today is really how that's started, been affected. So we decided, or they decided, I didn't decide, to converge what was a traditional IT service desk and an AV loans and a media support system all into one team. So we have great people in our second line who also do media support, but we took all 3 of those and put them into one team. There are 13 positions within my team, as I mentioned before, but when I arrived, we had 6 FTE, I've missed the E off, and 2 people sat on the desk on my first day. So it was interesting. I just went too quickly. We have 3 sites, or we did have 3 sites when I arrived. We had 2 AV spaces in each library, so we're based at, I think we referenced it in the video yesterday, we're based at Headingley and in the city centre. So we have a library at each site. So we had 2 AV counters, I'll talk about them in a bit, and 1 service desk in a nearby building. So we were very spread out, and communication was difficult, as to be expected. And then we started out with this client services goal, which was to strive to adopt a customer-centric culture of excellence across client services, which really is why I'm here today. So we support staff on our service desk, And we support students in terms of AV loans and the learning and teaching spaces. Russ, who's sitting at the front just here, he supports the students through the library. So that's not our bag, but we're looking forward to getting a bit more involved in how they do things. So you can't see my mug, which is really sad, because it's my favourite mug. It says, "What would Beyonce do?" Really wise advice. We quite often have impromptu Beyonce sing-alongs in the office. And that's fun for some people, not for everyone. So, Mark Twain said it, but how did we get started? Well, we had to decide where we were and where we wanted to be, and we used that age-old equation of how do we get from where we are to where we want to be. And we looked at who was setting the standards. So we looked not only to other higher education organisations, so Leeds University with Sally Boggs still at the helm at the time, but also outside of our sector. Who are our competitors? Who are our staff and students used to when it comes to customer service? So it's all very well and good to say, oh, we're going to be great at customer service, but actually, who are we aligning ourselves with? What's the norm nowadays? And some of the names we put out there, so Emma's obviously here from John Lewis today to talk to us, but Apple and NatWest and Amazon and all these people come up time and time again as people who provide outstanding customer service or just do what they do really well. And testament to that is the fact that Amazon won Best Customer Satisfaction Index in the UK, and Virgin Money won the Innovation of the Year Award, which was a sort of a creation of lounges within their areas to make people feel at home, which I think is a trend we're seeing more and more across all the sectors. This idea of sort of people sitting down together, it's very collaborative, etc. So, So this slide, I took this from the Service Desk Institute conference back earlier in the year, and I just really liked it, so I've put it in for no other reason than I think it's quite interesting. So these are the vision statements of the companies, some of the companies that we look up to. So Amazon, our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. I love that. I love the idea that you would be the Earth's most customer-centric company. John Lewis, we aim to deal honestly with customers, securing their trust by providing outstanding choice, value, and service. Again, there's just that commitment to providing great service. And Apple, our goal is to make amazing products and services that enrich people's lives. Enrich, it's amazing. So yes, I just thought you might like them. And then my old boss at Microsoft, Bill, it's so true, but Bill and I were like that, obviously. But our most unhappy customers are our greatest source of learning. So, what did we want to achieve? We wanted to move away from a traditional break-fix model of the media loans counter and static behind-the-scenes IT service desk. I know I've just read that line. But in reality, it's there. We wanted to take that you come in with a problem, we fix it, and you leave mentality and change the way we did that. We wanted to empower and develop our team members to become highly skilled and to provide excellent customer service. So not only are they, did we come into great pockets of best practice, but actually how can we push them beyond that? We wanted to create a dynamic and value-added customer-focused working environment. Gosh, that's a lot of words. But we wanted to make where they came to work, where you came to us as a customer, the best place it could be. I just skipped ahead. We wanted to utilise good practice and committed staff to strip processes and tools back. So again, we've got certain processes, we've got certain tools, we've got really great staff, but we wanted to review our way of working because actually, are we doing it right? Are we ever really doing it right? And we wanted to promote the service desk as a vital part of IT services function, including being a single point of contact. And it's so easy to use the expression single point of contact. And actually, it's quite hard to affect in reality. You're changing customers' pre-existing ways of going to people. So we did have pet technicians, and I think we probably still do in some places. But it's coming away from that and making the service desk at the heart of people's thoughts when they think of IT services. So the first thing first, I talked about environments. This one's particularly my own passion because this has changed my working very much. So our new home. Once upon a time, we had two quite old, quite tired, AV loans counters, and they were very much counters, a physical counter, a restrictive, high, not particularly welcoming. Our staff were stuck behind computer screens, which meant you couldn't really see their face as you walked up to them. My first impression of the library, well, not the library, but of our loans in the library, when I walked in on the first day was just off a computer screen. So they were good, they functioned, but they were difficult in terms of providing great service. And we also had, I mentioned earlier, our one IT service desk in a temporary location, which then moved to another temporary location shortly after. And you know, we know as IT, quite often you will be in sort of the older buildings, shall we say. But you know, we were felt at that time, and certainly there was a history before I started where they felt they'd been moved around quite a lot. So what we said was that we were going to completely redesign and redecorate our spaces to bring into account all of our offerings. So we wanted to keep our IT service desk, we wanted to bring walk-in queries into that, and we wanted to continue, obviously, our media loans for staff and students. We wanted to put it all in one big space, and how are we going to go about it? So, what did we want? I've put NatWest up, I've put the Apple up, and the B, always the B. But we looked, you know, and I'll just set them down so I can talk at the same time. But we wanted an area for greeting, a triage place. People could come in, they could get a great customer impression, you know, a warm and welcoming welcome desk. And again, NatWest and Apple were our inspiration for both those things. Apple, obviously, Genius Bars, although it turns out they're now moving away from Genius Bars, but so are we sort of, so I think we're setting the trend. But, and NatWest, you know, NatWest just up the road, I'm not entirely sure where I am in Leeds, but just up there somewhere. There's a big NatWest, and you would really struggle to find the existing cash desks. You know, they are so hidden at the back. And I've got a friend who works for Yorkshire Building Society, and she works in estates, she designs estates, and she was telling me that at Yorkshire Building Society, they've almost got to a point now where they've tried to make them almost non-existent and blur into the rest of the branch, because actually their real focus is on that front customer desk where people can come up and their staff are now trained to help them with anything. So the example she used is that old ladies, they book them a taxi from the desk and things. So it's really about that kind of that whole holistic approach to support and service and culture, really. We wanted to converge IT and AV. I spoke about that before. I just touched there on our Genius Bar. So we wanted something where we could display equipment, we could present equipment, we could troubleshoot equipment, we could put a camera back in its bag, you know, all of those kind of things. And we also wanted collaborative and consultative seating for customers and our analysts. And that's actually the model that Apple have now moved to. They call it intimate seating, which scares me a bit. But their idea is that, you know, that it's dynamic and that it's a warm, you know, customer-focused way. And I like to think we taught them that. And then we wanted, obviously, emails and phones are still exceptionally important to us. So we wanted an area where you could continue to take phone calls, you could continue to work on emails. We wanted to store our media equipment, and we also wanted a free flow of support from walking in to walking out of the building. And my last point, we wanted a hive of activities. So sometime last autumn, I think about probably the beginning of October, I had a really bizarre daydream on the bus that our office would work like a hive, and a hive of industry, and you know, everyone coming and going and working for the common goal, and it's all very, you know, high aspirational, but I really sort of fell on this idea of a bee and of honeycomb, and actually we have some bees in IT services. They're based at the Headingley campus. They have bees at Leeds University, and so the hive of activity was born a bit, and you'll see a bit more where the bees come in. So this was our service support model. It's very straightforward, but we wanted, you know, to bring people in for triage, consultation and equipment handover. We wanted call handling, and then obviously the very back, management escalations and administration, which sort of took shape to make this thing, which we sketched on the back of a napkin in our coffee shop at Headingley. But at the very top of the picture would be where the door is. It looks slightly different now, but that idea of you bringing people in, you doing that sort of hand-to-hand things, then you move into the back office towards call handling, and then my desk, which, you know, management, I guess. So, really excitingly, I wanted to sing Wrecking Ball for you today. Sally said I couldn't. So we brought in some bulldozers or hammers or earth-moving equipment. I'm not au fait with these things. And we ripped out our horrid old counters. And these are just some pictures of during refurbishment. My favourite is the one in the top left. I'm genuinely not sure what happened in that one. It looks like it hasn't been used for years. But yeah, so these were some of the pictures. And it was really hard. The time rolled over a lot. We missed our deadlines quite a bit. We came up against the library in terms of exam times, and obviously didn't want to disrupt our students. And we also made our poor team work out of a cupboard that was known as the Chokey, named after Miss Trunchbull's cupboard in Matilda, if you're familiar with Roald Dahl. And it really was like Miss Trunchbull's cupboard in Matilda. And we had an ant infestation. There were 2 ants. But it was hard. It was really hard. And the team, they're sitting there, will definitely attest to that. So, woo! We opened, and the pictures genuinely don't do it justice, and I kind of wish I'd put more in, and I wish I'd put bigger ones in, but you can really see the big difference from those old counters. So you saw this one in a previous picture, and that had a big counter in front of it, and you saw sort of where that glass wall is in a previous picture, and that had a big counter in front of it. So just from the top left round, we've got a big welcome desk, we've got some lovely lighting, which our procurement team helped us make it look a bit jazzy. We've got some pictures of bees. They obviously, without saying, still factor in. You can see in this picture here, Adam is on our Genius Bar, helping someone with a laptop. We've got a lovely big glass window which invites you in. It's one of the first things you now see when you walk into the library. It's got our honeycomb structure on, which is so exciting. The top picture is the key. You can sort of see the bee here. We're working on the transparency of the bee. But there is also a bee on our window. And then we've got a lovely big screen from which, to put major information. And then this is our city site. So they're slightly different because our city site still is possibly maybe more temporary than our Headingley site. But I'm exceptionally proud of them. And every morning when I walk in, I just genuinely get a bit tearful, which if people know me in this room, which some do, well, no, that's not a huge surprise. But it's such a positive, clean, fresh, dynamic environment in which to work, and I couldn't be prouder that I've been a part of designing and bringing it to life. Our architect was a student placement at Leeds Beckett, and one of the things we do at Leeds Beckett really well is student placements, I think. And so he, as part of his full-time degree, has spent a year in the estates team, and he designed based on our requests and his own experience of Apple and the banks and the people who were doing it well. So I think he finished the other day, but Jamie did an amazing job, and we're so grateful to him. So what next, Morbies? Media equipment. We need to build on our stock, and I think everyone who we've listened to over the last couple of days has touched on the idea of consumerization, and that's where we feel really close to it, I think, the most for us, certainly because of the student aspect. When I was a student, I only worried about getting to the RAS in Liverpool for £1 before 11 p.m, which was a bit of a coup, if you could. But nowadays, students' expectations are so much higher, and good quality and smart and efficient tech is the norm. And we see quite often a lot of students come in and they think what they want is a DSLR, and actually they just want to just take a normal picture. But they're used to seeing people, vloggers, with these smart, expensive DSLRs. We also, people want things like GoPros, all sorts of things like that. So that's one of the key things that we're moving on to next. We're firming up our processes. We're always firming up our processes. Everyone is always firming up their processes. We're looking at the management of bookings. So do we do that out of our ITSM tool? We've currently got a sort of resource management tool, but do we bring all of that together? I say yes. I think Sally says yes. And then also, what exciting things can we do? So we're thinking maybe around some tea time tutorials. You come for a piece of cake, we'd show you how to use Photoshop. I don't know how to use Photoshop, so it's probably not going to be me. But that kind of idea, how can we bring people into our spaces and give them some value? Real estate, we're going to continue to dress the space. I've written bees, I'm really obsessed. But getting some nice big plants in, some more, some of our strategies on the wall, that kind of thing. And also asking the team for input. And I've put, beware, some pretty mad ideas there. And I'm sorry, guys, but there are some pretty mad ideas. Beware that you might get a request for a pool table in the middle of your service desk. And then future offerings, what can we do going forward? So I talked about the tea time tutorials there, but what other things can we do? And I'm genuinely interested if people want to come and talk to me in the breaks about what ideas you might have, because, we talk about collaboration at these events all the time, but collaboration is how we grow and how we build. So please let me know if you have any. And also a potential for a fix IT type offering. So, we do look to Leeds a lot because we're in the same city. And they have a really brilliant fix IT model. And actually, is that something that works for us? Or isn't it? It might not be. But let's look at it and see if it's an option. So, bringing our service culture to life. We talk about service culture a lot at Leeds Beckett. It's one of our sort of buzzwords of 2015-16. But it's utterly, utterly so important. We built a team almost from scratch. I referenced it in the earlier slides, but there weren't many people in the office when I arrived. And they'd also just come out of a major restructure, and that provides an uncertainty. It provides, a bit of worry about where the future might go. What's next, I think, is often a question. And it was clear to us from the very beginning that customers were right. Customers too, but people were at the heart of our customer service journey. So we started with our client services mission statement. So all the managers in client services, which is services that touch clients, obviously, went away for a day back in the spring, and we decided to write a mission statement. And I won't read the whole thing out, but my absolute favourite, and I wish I'd come up with it myself, is the bit at the end that says we are as much a people service as a technology service. And I think we all live and breathe that. I think no one's in this room because they don't believe that. That's why we're here today. But what a mission, what a way to state our claims. So we are working on a service desk mission statement, but as with all these things, we need to sort of bring that down from the top. So that's where we're going to feed into. So I've got Ryanair on here. I haven't had time to change it since Andrew's talk yesterday, but actually perception, I still don't like Ryanair. That man, I've forgotten his name, I always get him confused with the Tesco chap, but he might, decide to make things better, but for me still, I don't like Ryanair, certainly don't like Vodafone. It's they're about perceptions, people carry the perceptions of the past, but, the positives, so John Lewis, Amazon, First Direct, all provide really great customer service. John Lewis, everyone is a valued partner in the business, and I always remember my mum telling me that when I was younger and I was looking for a Saturday job. And it's something that's always kept with me, that idea that, you are a part of the business, you are responsible for its brilliance and for everything it does. And I really love that. And Amazon do a million things that drive me absolutely mad. But there's no doubting that they're fast, they're reliable, they're efficient. You ask a question, you get an answer. And so we had to say, well, how do we improve customer experience? And the very heart of that is improving staff experience. And we're not there, we're still working. But one of the very first questions that Sally and I had to ask of ourselves was, what is expected of the team? And what does good look like? So, I sometimes conduct informal experiments. And I said to my team, what is good? What is good customer service? Explain customer service to me. And it was interesting, all the answers were very different, but actually, if we don't tell people what we expect, how do they know what they are, to live towards, work towards? So we sat down and we said, okay, what does good look like? The next question we asked was if they had the right skills and training for the role, and it's a big one, and again, something we're still working on, but we're sort of settling in now on an IT services training strategy. And, clients, no, end user services, lots of services. And with that in mind, and we said, are there opportunities for personal and professional development in the department? And do we recognise, reward and celebrate success? I thought we did, but it turns out I don't think we do it as well as we could do. It turns out my team aren't motivated by McDonald's. Who knew? But there was a chap at the SDI conference again back in the spring, and he said, I can't pronounce his surname. His name's Alexander. He works for or owns Woohoo Inc. And he said, actually, motivation is about what matters to that person. So you can't necessarily motivate one person with a chocolate bar if they don't like chocolate, you know, and actually it's a very good point. And how often do we think about how we're tailoring our motivation or our reward and recognition to that person? And, you know, Sally told me this quote, and I like it a lot, but unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And I love Dr. Zeus, I think he's a genius. But it's so true, you know, we're all in it together. We're all a part of making this process so much better. So, we have a service attitude. It's not yet up in our office because I've still got some empty frames on my desk, but you know, I won't read them out, but it's about how we take steps to be the best of ourselves in terms of our service, and what do we expect and what can our customers expect of us. And we think that we'll put possibly a straight version of this, or perhaps a slightly amended version of this, on our IT services website at some point to say to our customers, this is where we stand, this is what we stand for. We also decided, if we were going to go from good to great, slightly tenuous clip art there, we needed to create a customer services standards document. So we did that in liaison with the team, and that's sort of set around areas like timekeeping, all sorts of the bits and bobs that you just need to do to come in and do a good job. And that, you know, is a really important document. And actually, I'd never really had one before, but now I really see the value in it. You know, it sets that standard from the off. We also created phone and email standards. So if we're asking you to be the best, but we haven't told you what the best is, then, you know, then how can we ask that of you? So if we set down what we expect, then you've got something to work towards, or to measure yourself against, or exceed, which is what I hope for. So, you know, and that sets expectations and best practice. And we also, you know, implemented regular one-to-ones, which, you know, do sometimes struggle with meetings, but, you know, documented, actioned to confirm and commit those things that we talk about in those first two sets of standards. And we've still got loads of work to do, that is absolutely without doubt, but I do have a team of committed individuals. They do really care about customer service excellence. They're going to pop up on this next slide, and I'll probably get a bit teary again. This is them in their new offices. The bottom picture looks like something out of The Usual Suspects. But I had just marched them up against a wall and told them I was going to take a picture of them, so that could account for facial expressions. But, you know, they do make me proud, and we're all in it together, and we have a long way to go, but we are, and that's the key thing, we are all in it together. So what next for our service culture? We we're going through the process of service desk certification. It's grueling, but we're excited. We've got phone and email standards, you know, so we're going to bring out call coaching to the team. We're going to continue their development, and of course, at the moment, our development is a new team, so our development does involve the service desk. It involves, you know, being the best bring the best skills to the service desk. And we also do budgeting with second line, just to, you know, increase knowledge sharing. And also, I mentioned it before, but how do we reward and recognise success if it's not McDonald's? So I'll run, my S went a bit wrong. I'll run through the next slides quite quickly because I know we're coming to the end. But a big part of my passion around these things comes around comms, and I really enjoyed Bob's 2020 yesterday. It was really inspiring. And we're really lucky to have a comms team at Leeds Beckett. I know not everyone's in that position, but we are very lucky. So we took major incident comms, and that's, you know, a big step to improving our service culture. So we started sending out updates, which, you know, didn't really happen before. We hadn't actually got permission to do it. We just sent one out one day when something went down. And then we got lots of really good feedback, so we said, yay, see, it was good, don't get cross. And we've really worked towards, you know, Twitter in terms that we're still not fully there on Twitter, but, you know, how do we get our communications out to people? And you'll see at the bottom we had a little bit of Star Wars tweeting on May the 4th. I'm not very good at Star Wars, but possibly the proudest moment of my career to date. And then we're also working on a new IT services website. It was previously quite hard to find IT support. Both Sally and I have both said to each other and to other people, when we went to our interviews, we struggled to find stuff on the website about IT services. So actually, we needed to change that. We needed to provide that single point of contact. So we had 3 telephone numbers and 4 email addresses, which we needed to amalgamate. And so we worked with the CIU, who Claire is coming today, and she's absolutely brilliant. I really recommend attending her session. But we took into account what the university wanted and built these plans. And we looked at peer and non-peer sectors. And Bob talked about, or I certainly had a slide because I was busy tweeting, I didn't quite catch it, about gov.uk yesterday. And they have such a great website. It's really worth checking out if you're looking at websites. It's really navigable. It's really straightforward. It's really user-centric. And that's that idea, again, of putting the user at the heart of things. And then at the very bottom, placing the service desk at the heart of this process. And that's the same of major incidents, the same of comms, the same of all the things we're trying to do. And then branding and promotion, we come back to the B again. But actually, it's really important that we create an identifiable brand. I talked before about pet technicians, and if you want to get away from pet technicians and people, going to someone specific rather than contacting a single point of contact, you've got to show them where to go. You've got to tell them how to get there. So we have a glass window. We have this beautiful new contact card, which I'm so very proud of, that has all our details on. We tweet. My team go to inductions and conferences, so this is them at the DEEP conference last week, which is a Leeds Beckett conference. We've talked about Google VR a bit since we've been here, but we have a Bright Idea award given to Siobhan in my team, who came up with the idea of using virtual reality to give support to classrooms that we couldn't get to so easily. So we're a big campus. We look after the cricket ground, which is very exciting, but we can't always get to the cricket ground. So if you rang us, then we at least would have an idea. So we stole that one a bit from Lancaster last summer. I think we all stole a bit of Google Glasses from Lancaster last summer. And that's something we're going to work on over this summer. But it's exciting. It's really exciting to see innovation. It's exciting to see staff linking into that innovation. And we're also looking at a potential for IT services induction within the new service desk spaces. So we've moved to Skype for Business. You need a headset. Come and grab it from us. We'll give you an induction while we're there. Although I really like the idea of emailing it to people before they started. I also stole that one yesterday. So just a few very quick things, because I really know I'm running out of time. We looked at Lego and serious play. So again, Claire's going to talk about this today. And I absolutely love it. I love Lego. I'm just a Lego nut. But actually, you'll see in the pictures below, they're very small, but lots of Lego people. And using that to process, map, gather ideas for the website, we looked at our incident process. And actually, it was just really nice to get out of the office. Also, if you've never looked up the IT crowd Lego set, do it. It's amazing. And then also, I talked about Alexander from Woohoo earlier. Again, I won't try and say his name. But he talked a lot at the SDI conference about, high-fiving people and telling them they rock. And there are some people from Oxford University where we had some fairly awkward high-fives in the back row. But one of his ideas was a breakfast where you would high-five everyone coming in and say you rock. So I've just given that away to my team who are sitting there thinking, oh, now we're having a breakfast. Oops. And then, just very quickly, what did we learn? Well, it was an amazing experience. It was a massive catalyst for change, and that's, it goes without saying. We recruited and trained and embedded a brand new team. We have amazing new office spaces, and we have a really positive start to our new service culture. What could we do differently? I love Naya, she always comes up with great quotes. I'm never, ever going to believe an initial time frame again. I know my parents have worked with builders in the past, and I don't know why I forgot this, but so when they tell you you're going to be in by January, you're not. We moved in June. We need to meet more often with people and communicate better, and that goes for everything. That's not just, I think that's across the board. I think everyone in this room could probably hold their hand up to needing to do that more. We need to take control of the things we want to change, and that's one I've really learned actually while I've been at Leeds Beckett, although I hope I've done it in the past, but actually we wanted to change major incident process, so we did. Within reason, obviously. I'm not saying to go out and change everything, but if there's something you don't like at work, take control of it and, say how you're going to change it. And also, ask me again in 6 months, because it has been the strangest 9 months, but fascinating and brilliant. And then, I don't know if I've got time for questions because I've talked too much, but there's my email address. Please speak to me if, you've got any questions about service desks at Leeds Beckett or these. You have got, okay. Thanks.